Revenge films.
My name is Kelly. I live with my husband, David, while I work full-time at a company, and every day is very busy. Both my professional and personal life were smooth sailing until this manager who was recently transferred to my company was harassing me at work, and every night I was venting to my husband about it. My husband was worried about me, and he told me that whenever he could finish work early, he would come to the office to pick me up. One day, when my husband came all the way to my office to pick me up after work, my manager coincidentally came out of the same time. Look! That's the only manager that I've been telling you about!
What? Where? You're joking, right?
The moment my husband saw my manager, he was shocked and covered his mouth. What's the matter? Do you know him?
That's my older brother, Richard, that I cut off all ties with years ago!
You're kidding, right? What a coincidence is that? My husband had a brother 10 years older than him, and ever since they were little, he grew up being bullied by him. When he was in high school, his brother tricked David's girlfriend into breaking up with him and dating his brother instead. And after messing around with her and treating the woman terribly, he cut off all ties with him. 10 years have passed since then, and we couldn't believe that his brother was appearing in front of him this way. But if he were to find out that I was my husband's wife, we were certain that he would try to put his hands on me. So David told me to make sure that he didn't find out about it. For that reason, I continued to interact with my brother-in-law simply as my manager. Not knowing anything, my brother-in-law was harassing me and my colleagues around me every day.
Hey, are you the one that made this material? There's a mistake right here.
I'm very sorry, but I don't know what part of it is wrong.
Right here. This number on this graph. Go fix it right now.
I'm very sorry. That's weird. I was fairly certain that I hadn't made a mistake, but because my manager insisted, I decided to fix it as soon as I was told. It was very difficult to collect everybody's materials and recopy everything that was edited, and that day I was stuck working overtime late into the night. I finally finished the corrections and I went to report it to Richard, who was still in the office. I fixed it. Please check it this time for me.
Oh, about that. It seems like the first version was correct, so you didn't need to fix it.
What? You knew that I was working overtime right now to fix this, didn't you? Why didn't you say something sooner?
Hey, you think it's okay to take that tone with your manager? Who do you think you are? If you're going to apologize, I suggest you do so now.
I apologize. I'm going home.
What is with that tone? You've got a bad attitude. I'm your boss, you know that, right? If you're a woman, then you may as well flatter me and try to seduce me. Then maybe I'll look after you.
Who would ever want to?
Now it's not too late, you know. Do you want to go to the hotel down the street with me right now? If you want me to forgive you, you should probably do that.
I have a husband. Please don't say something so weird.
If you're not going to listen to what I say, get down on your knees and apologize right now.
I can't entertain this. I'm going home now. See you tomorrow.
Where do you think you're going? Damn it!
When I got home, my husband was worried and he was waiting for me, so I told him everything that happened that day. And then my husband was furious towards his brother, and he told me that if I had any proof of their harassment, that he would report it to the company straight away. Then one day, my husband got a phone call from his parents' house. We found out that after losing the battle with illness, his father had passed away. We quickly packed up and headed straight towards his family home. My father-in-law was the CEO of a major company, and because my company was also partnered with them, my CEO was also in attendance at the funeral. I used the annual leave to take days off of work, and I did whatever I could to support my husband and my mother-in-law, who were overwhelmed with grief. And then, when I got back from my days off and returned to the office, all the employees around me were very thoughtful to me. I thanked my colleagues who were being so kind to me, and as I made my way to my desk, I realized that my desk was missing. To my disbelief, while I had taken time off work, Richard had gotten rid of my desk and my chair. This was crossing the line, and I couldn't forgive him for this. So I threw my anger at my brother-in-law, but then the most unbelievable words came flying out of his mouth.
Just because your father-in-law died, you think it's okay to take days off of work? You're being assigned to office cleanup now. I moved your seat to the storage room, so hurry up and get yourself down there.
I was so irritated, and I didn't go to the storage room, but I went straight to the CEO's office. When I relayed word for word what Richard had just said to me, the CEO was furious, and there I decided to reveal to the CEO that my bully manager was actually my brother-in-law. The CEO was shocked, and he called Richard into the office and told me that he would make him apologize to me. When he arrived in the office, Richard bowed towards the CEO and tried to play the good guy. I was even more irritated by the difference in attitude towards me and his team.
Sir, nice to see you. How rare for you to call me in so suddenly. Is there something I can help you with? I can see right through you. Why didn't you attend the funeral of your own father, who was also the CEO of a company that we have been partnered with for so many years? What are you talking about?
I'm actually the wife of your younger brother, so the funeral that I attended was the funeral for your own father, although I'm sure you didn't know that. When he heard that, Richard went completely pale. I am your sister-in-law.
You're lying! Why were you hiding it until now? Nobody told me that my father was dead!
Well, of course they didn't. When your father was alive, you borrowed a large sum of money from him and lost it all. You were disowned by the family, so of course nobody would get in touch with you.
What did you say? Who do you think you are? That's enough! You shut your mouth! Not only did you not attend your own father's funeral, on top of that, you are bullying your subordinates. This is unbelievable! You are suspended until your punishment has been decided.
After he was placed on a suspension from the CEO's direct orders, starting the next day, Richard stopped coming to work. I was feeling really relieved that I could work without any harassment. But when the rest of the team found out about Richard's suspension, they all started raising their voices at once. When all the verbal and sexual harassment that Richard was throwing about came to light, it became a huge internal problem. On top of that, there were more than 10 young female employees who came forward and said that they were forced to have physical relationships with him. The upper management was sued by a number of those people, and they had to pay a very high settlement. The whole issue became a massive ordeal, and Richard was fired while he was still in suspension from the company. On top of losing his income, he was left with a massive settlement fee to pay, and he was at his wit's end. However, my husband had to cut all ties with his brother a long time ago, so we didn't have his phone number nor his address, and he told me that there is no way that we were in danger, so I'm relieved. I had finally regained the peace in my life, and then it was time for my father-in-law 49-day memorial, and I took time off work again to go back to my husband's family house with him. Because Richard was no longer at the company, I was relieved that I wouldn't have to worry about being harassed when going back to work. After the memorial service, I was relaxing at David's family house with him and his mother, when suddenly we heard the front door open. Who is it? Begging in here without even ringing the doorbell.
I wonder who it is. I'll go have a look.
It's kinda scary. Please be careful. As soon as we opened the living room door, there was my brother-in-law standing there. My husband was shocked, and when he asked him what he wanted, Richard pulled out a knife and pointed it towards my husband.
What do you think you're doing? Hand over Dad's inheritance to me! Because of your stupid wife, my life is a disaster!
As soon as I saw that, while my husband was desperately trying to stop his brother, I rushed to call the police. My mother-in-law was more furious than I had ever seen her before, and she was going after Richard many times with a frying pan. He finally gave in after that and dropped the knife on the floor, and as swiftly as we went to take it from him, this time he tried to run away. In perfect timing, the police arrived on the spot and Richard was arrested. Getting fired from work and being sued for a settlement fee, all of that was self-inflicted. But he was resentful of me, and this was the result. After being arrested, the rift between him and his family became even deeper, and Richard didn't step foot near his family home ever again. When the CEO found out about all of this, he said that he was glad that he fired them immediately instead of giving him a chance to cause any more trouble. After discussing it with my husband, I decided to sue Richard for his verbal and sexual harassment, and I also collected a settlement fee. It's not like I could forgive him for that, but when I received the settlement fee from him, perhaps I am heartless, but I did feel a lot better. After all of that, my husband became the heir of his father's company, and he became the CEO of a major company. In order to support my husband in his new role, I decided to quit my job and become a full-time housewife. If everything had gone to plan, they were supposed to leave the company to the eldest son. But in this will, my father-in-law had clearly written that it would be passing the company on to David. While he was still alive, Richard had caused a lot of trouble for his father, and was even disowned by him, so of course this was a given. As for Richard, because he was single and didn't have anybody to rely on and no assets, once he was released from prison, he became homeless for the rest of his life. But I'm sure my husband and I will never have to see Richard ever again in our lives.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.